Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Joey the Veiled Cottage Witch, tarot enthusiast, metaphysical practitioner, herbalist, and folk witch. This is another episode of one card in 4 decks. The crystal for this card, for the 8 of Swords, is clear quartz. Clear quartz does just exactly what you think it would. It helps you find clarity. It helps you see things as they really are. I love clear quartz for that reason. It is a wonderful stone to help see through the muck, to help you kind of see the situation clearly, and to really put things into perspective. And that is the lesson basically for the 8 of Swords. So let's get right to it. 8 is a mastery number. 8 is skill and mastery and ambition. And orange, if you look at what she's wearing, orange is also an ambition color. So what does that mean for the figure in the deck? So she has the ambition, but with the way that things appear in this card, so there's all these swords surrounding her, but her bonds, so to speak, are very loose. Is she truly bound? Or is she merely stagnant? You know, at first glance, you're thinking, oh, she's imprisoned. Is she though? Look how loose those straps are. She could wiggle her way right out of that. You know, she's got the ambition, like I said before, she's got the ambition. She wants out of this situation. You know, there are emotions involved. You know, we see water, we think emotions, right? There's help right behind her. There's this castle right here. Yes, she's going to have to go through quite a bit of climbing to get there, but there is help there. All she needs to do is wiggle out of those bonds, grab a sword and help, or 2, they could help her in climbing up. She could use that to help her climb right on up, and there's help in that castle. So what we see here is false imprisonment. She's not imprisoned, but she has basically sequestered to her imprisonment. Now, it's not quite as bad as, let's say, the last card that we looked at with the 7 of arrows in the Wildwood Tarot, where she's like, oh, woe is me, you know, I've given up. But she is acting a little helpless here. You know, there is that false imprisonment, that false damsel in distress that you kind of get from this. So that is the 8 of Swords. So let's look and see what we find in these other decks that we can compare to. So I have the Murder of Crows here. Oh boy. We're going to see these in this deck in the next one as well, because the imagery is just so good. I rarely get these out, so we will see them again. So she has all of these strings. She's just tangled up. But look at these two crows here. They could possibly help her out, right? They could help her untangle. She could help herself. They're not tight. They're not, bound so tightly that she couldn't get out. But you can tell she's tired of fighting. And I think that's a huge lesson of the Eight of Swords. They're tired of fighting. And they get this kind of surrendering to your circumstances kind of thing. And, they just become defeated, and that looks like what's happening here in this Eight of Swords. These crows could help or they could hinder her, right? Either way, she's playing the victim, right? Same here. She's playing the victim. Would it be difficult to get out? Sure. And I'm going to have to put a trigger warning on this video because I am going to talk about the fact that when we are in abusive situations or situations where we feel stuck and stagnant and to where we feel like there is no way out, we become part of the problem. And I think here she has become part of her problem. When we don't fight back, we're becoming a part of that problem. And I think that's what's going on with this woman in this picture. All of this, and she's just, it's not worth fighting for anymore. And she's become part of the problem. When you don't fight back against that, you become part of the problem. And that's a very sad situation, but it does happen. You need to fight for yourself and fight for your situation. Yeah? All right. Moving on to the Tarot of the Dragons. Look at the mess he's gotten himself into. Oh boy. So not only is he surrounded by swords, but he's surrounded by some sort of bindweed. And this is the result of letting your situation get the best of you, letting society get the best of you, letting all of this go to your head. Look at that. All of that go to your head. And society will do that, right? Because we are still in the swords. And like we said in the beginning, swords are all about thoughts, communication, and society. And when we have let all of that bind us and control us, we have become what we hate the most. Yep, all that bindweed is just imprisoning that dragon. So what this dragon needs to realize, he's a freaking dragon. He can get himself out. He could breathe fire and destroy all that bindweed and grab it, or grab a sword and cut through all of that bindweed. He has options, just like these two figures. You are never truly stuck, right? There is a way out if you want it bad enough, but you have to want it bad enough. You have to want to fight for what you want and truly fight for it, right? It's all about fighting for what you truly want, and then having the ambition, having the strength, and having the power to find your way out, right? It's like the answer is right there, you know? But we let it consume us, and we let it infiltrate our mind and our thoughts. Society can do that. Our partners can do that. Our children can do that. You know, there's a saying, it's a Freudian slip, actually, if you're into psychology like me, that kids ruin your life. I mean, run your life. Yeah. It's so true that, you know, you can get all wrapped up in it, and that is what's going on here. He's just wrapped up in all the perils of society or whatever the situation is. I just had a Queen song stuck in my head just now, and that often happens when I'm playing with my tarot cards and I Want to Break Free by Queen just came to my head. Yeah. Look, and he even has sharp blades on the end of his, right here, on the end of his wings, or where his wings meet. He could use those to break that bindweed. Come on, buddy. Snap out of it. All right. And lastly, we have the Tarot of the Witch's Garden. You're going to see these on my next one too, because these just really, really speak on these swords. Okay, so we have a figure and she is hovering. And I like to think, since these are all witches here in the Tarot of the Witch's Garden, she is either going through some sort of initiation or she's astral traveling. I like to think she's astral traveling. I think she's having an out-of-body experience here. So she's bound to her physical body here. This is just my opinion. Please share yours in the comments below. But she's bound to her physical body. But all she has a sword here, and the rest of them are all down here. There's all this moonflowers or datura, thorn apples down here that maybe she took a little bit to help her astral travel. Like I said, I'm making this up in my head. But she could, if she wanted to, you know, if she could come out of her trance a little bit, you know, snap out of her circumstances a little bit, she could take this sword and unbind herself. And who knows where she could go and what she could accomplish. She could go to a past life. She could go to this life and accomplish some things. Maybe go, maybe go to places that she can't have access to on the physical plane. That's what I would do. But I think that she's limited by her bounds, and all she has to do is take this sword and she is free of all those limitations. This is such a beautiful card. We even have water here, calling back to the Rider-Waite Smith. So, emotionally, those emotions are there, that unconscious is there. But all she has to do is snap out of her trance just a little bit, grab that sword, set herself free. And I think that, is a perfect representation of where we're going and the meaning of the Eight of Swords. So I hope that this was helpful. Swords are tough. Swords are strife and struggle. And society is not always easy. This is why some people self-isolate. They stop talking to people and they hide a lot of times because life is hard. It is. And that is what the swords are all about. This is tough stuff. So, I want to say, if you are going through any of these situations, talk to somebody. Talk to a friend, talk to a healthcare professional, talk to a therapist, talk to a psychiatrist, whatever you need to do. But don't surrender, don't give up. There's always hope, okay? So, visit my website if you'd like to book a reading, a class, a service, or sign up for a workshop. You can also shop my online store. Just remember that code word veiled, all caps, and get your free shipping. I also have a way you can also support this channel by buying me a coffee. Those details are also down in the description box below. Other than that, live your best life and live for yourself. I will see you in the next one. Bye.